Back to the I will. Why has the Conservation Trust Fund never been funded? It's been on the books for a long time, but it's never been funded.
And I think the reason it hasn't been funded is because of that unlimited, uncapped amount of money that would go toward the purchase of land. If we would take that out of there, I think we would be able to fund it, and it would be moving forward.
Can I ask a quick question? So if the state has have this money set aside, to purchase land, and we've been doing that year after year after year, there should be quite a bit of money sitting there.
The problem is it hasn't been funded.
It hasn't been funded.
But for the purchase of land, right?
That would happen if we passed this bill, if we would actually begin funding it. It's there that if we ever increase sales tax by 3/8%, then we would begin funding it. Since we haven't done that, there's no funds sitting there.
Okay. Follow-up question though, sir. Since this was all passed and it was law, who gives you folks the option of not funding it in the first place?
Well,
It was passed as the option, if we ever pass a 3/8 cent or an increase in sales tax, the first 3/8 cents will go toward this. The reason we have not seen any increase in sales tax is because we didn't want it to go there.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
I've been involved with I-Will since its beginning. It is not designed to grab land. You guys are so misinformed on this project. Were you down at State House when this went through with 90% of bipartisan support from both Senate legislators to pass this? You were not. Okay, you just mentioned earlier statement, if a lobbyist is lying or getting wrong information, they're done on a different question. The Farm Bureau lobbyists have given you guys the wrong information for many years on this project. And I'd be more than happy to visit with you when we have more time, but the information you have, it's not for grabbing land. That is not what I-Will was designed for. You have to understand that and read it to understand it.
That's a good point. Good point. If you want to come up afterwards, I think you guys should have a dialogue. There's more questions here regarding cancer and other things, but this one says, Representative Latham said the funding probably won't be there for new projects. Considering we have the second highest cancer incident rate, we are last in OBGYN rate and last in mental health care bed availability. Why haven't you tapped the massive budget surplus to help fund some of these programs?
Yeah, so I should have said there probably isn't going to be money there for a lot of new projects because, like I was talking about the grocery reinvestment fund, I'd like to find money for that. So I don't mean for that to be a blanket statement, so I'm sorry I put a caveat in there. And did you just tell me that had cancer in it?
Well, just, for example, there's funding needs, mental health care, there's low access.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what I think, here's how I should have better explained it. There can be things funded. I don't think there's going to be a great deal of money added to our budgets, but that doesn't mean our budgets are going to be spent. And when I say our, I mean like in our budget subcommittees. So Health and Human Services, for example, could very much be looking at funding those types of things. I don't think there's going to be massive amounts taken from the taxpayer relief fund because that's not what the taxpayer relief fund was for. So when I go to forums, people are like, we have those billions sitting there. Well, that's not what it's designed to do. It's not designed to go from the taxpayer relief fund to fund state government. I don't know if you have a better way of explaining that. But, so I think there could be new things in the existing budgets. I don't think we're going to see growth, at least not a great deal of growth into those different budget subs. Does that make
When
sense?
the money was put in there, it was put in each, was it 3 different
It's like
pots?
cookie jars.
Yeah,
It's kind
3
of-
different cookie
yeah.
jars, and they're designated, this can only be used for tax relief.
The reason I use cookie jars is because that's what I thought of when we were doing our household budget, right? This I'm setting aside money for insurance. I'm setting aside money for
New car.
New car or whatever, right? Vacation. That's kind of my analogy there. So sorry to interrupt you, Senator.
That was perfect.